Hello, and you clicked on it to come here, so you wanted to see the Precursor. You wanted to see my opinion on the Precursor concept art, and I'll be honest with you, there's not much. There's not much Precursor concept art, so I'm just gonna go through it, and we'll be over soon. Here we've got concept art for the quarantine enforcement platform, with a really nice looking island, which makes me think they just photoshopped it onto an island. But still, the quarantine enforcement platform, nothing much has changed except the island looks different. Here we've got a design for inside of the enforcement platform, which is pretty much how it looks today. More stuff from inside a precursor facility, which is the same aesthetic. More precursor stuff with these things that resemble the precursor elevators to me. They might be specimen holding tubes, perhaps? This thing, which is the energy core for the weapon, the quarantine enforcement platform. Art for the disabling button for the quarantine enforcement platform, including with the little stabby drone. A destroyed precursor facility that is significantly more destroyed than the one in the Lost River. Next we have a thermal plant. Well, it's thermal plant. Is it a thermal plant? Let me just go back and check. Well, the wiki calls it the thermal plant, but uh, apparently it's also that in the precursor reactor platform. But you know. Next, you've got a prawn suit overlooking a lava zone with a precursor base inside it. Now, something interesting to note about this is that if you look over here, all of this lava zone is getting sunlight. So apparently, it would seem like Subnautica originally, from what I'm getting from this, from all the ideas that they had for the world, from looking through all this concept art, I'm getting the feeling that Subnautica originally didn't go down, it would have gone out. And it would have focused more on making the ocean feel vast as opposed to deep. Because, I mean, look at this. That's quite obviously near the surface. But, you know, that's just what I think. Here we've got an old concept art for a force field, but you can also see it in the front of this precursor base here. In here we've got a very interesting looking precursor room. That would be there's all these cabinets here. I think that's the ion cube fabricator. And through there is the Sea Emperor, I think? I don't know. Speaking of the Sea Emperor, here is an original design for the Sea Emperor's containment. If you look down here, there are some original fish in with the Sea Emperor that I find very interesting to look at. I'm probably going to start to draw all these fish later because I'm fascinated by that kind of thing. Here we've got the place where you jump into the Sea Emperor's aquarium. The Sea Emperor's egg containment platform. Different designs for the precursor, for the cables that hold the precursor bases to the walls where they're suspended from. A warp gate, or whatever you want to call them. Precursor portals. One of these precursor droids, or precursor crawlers as the image is called, based on the cave crawler that repair precursor bases, and this is pretty much what they look like in the game. Ion crystals, a tablet input device, except the one difference I can see is that tablet input devices normally don't have the symbol floating above them, they normally have the symbol in here. That's the only difference I can spot. Next, we've got one of these ion crystal activation things that pops open, and that's pretty much the same all around. This is basically just concept art for what design should go inside them. Next up, we have these designs for just a whole bunch of different Precursor lab equipment, including this wall thing of unknown use. But yeah, there's just a bunch of lab equipment. A warper suspended by cables in a Precursor lab, which is very interesting. Pretty much looks how it does in the game, though. A Precursor base, again, suspended quite near the surface with someone driving their Cyclops up to it. The only Precursor base that is this close to the surface is the Quarantine Enforcement platform, and that's because it had to be above water. Another Precursor base, again close to the surface, and it's somehow floating because all of these cables have slack, and yet it's not falling. So it's not being held up, like it's buoyant because none of the cables are slack, but it's also not falling. So I don't see how that's happening. And this Seamoth appears to be approaching at very high speeds. I wish a Seamoth could get that fast. But yeah, I said this was going to be a short one. This is the end of the Precursor concept art. Thanks.